y'all, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Misty, and the channel's name, of course, is Speculative Magpie. And I am here to do a couple of book reviews. Now, I'm going to do two ebooks. They're horror books that I read for Paul's Halloween-a-thon. Paul's Books and Movies, formerly Frostbite 2022, is doing his. And also for John's Books of Blood's Halloween A to Z. Now, as of right now, I'm going to do one book for each of the challenges, but as I get closer to the end of the challenge, I'll probably start doubling up prompts so I don't completely tank. But yeah, so these are two ebooks we're going to review together. I don't know why. I just am under the impression that if I read ebooks, I have to review more than one at a time. It's just the way I feel. Despite the fact that both of these ebooks are pushing 300 pages, but still, you know, it's the way my brain works, so we're going to go with it. So for the first book we're going to review, yeah, you're going to have the little purple triangles in my glasses again, and because these are ebooks. When I start talking about some of the physical books that I've read, luckily these won't be there. It's just my AR coding, just so you know what that is if this is your first video. So for the first one, so Paul's Books and Movies, Halloween Readathon, Halloween-a-thon. I already did S, Coming of Age, Back to School. That I did Dirty Heads. So we're going to do N, the new to me horror author, and for that I have chosen Sergio Gomez and Camp Slaughter. Now, I know I'm kind of late to the party for Camp Slaughter, but I picked this book up. It was free on Kindle Unlimited. It just seemed like something that I kind of wanted to read at this time. So, and I am really glad I did. So you know how this works. We're going to read the synopsis, which isn't very long, and then we're going to talk about it. So, Camp Slaughter by Sergio Gomez, which his sequel to this, Halloween Slaughter, has just come out. You can get it free on Kindle Unlimited also, if that's something you subscribe to, but we're talking about Camp Slaughter right now. It's a local legend. No one is sure if this Camp Slaughter place is real or not, but a group of college kids renting out a cabin deep in the woods of Pennsylvania will soon realize the truth. They will realize the danger, or rather, the cannibal out in the woods will bring the danger to them. Now, this was a really fun book. It reminded me so much of the slasher films from the 80s. I love a good slasher film. It is like one of my favorite genres. Yeah, I do kind of prefer the supernatural horror kind of story, but you give me a good slasher and a bunch of dead teenagers all over the woods, and I am just here for it. What can I say? That's just the way it works. But this had your typical like slasher tropes. There's a cabin isolated in the woods. People have gone missing from that area. Of course, the person renting out the cabin doesn't let anybody know that that's happened. So when he rents it out to these like 4 college students, let's see. And one of the college students' younger brothers, they don't know that they're basically walking into like this Weekend of Terror. And you have the party guy, you have the two social media girls, you have the stoner, you have the younger brother, and then you have just the average day goot. So actually there's 6. I miscounted. Yeah. And I don't remember their names. It's been at least a week since I've read this. I think one was like Fletcher, and he was the stoner, and Gavin was the like party frat dude. Wayne was the younger brother. The others, I mean, like the just your average dude was kind of like who you're following to, but he was just your typical narrator kind of guy. I still felt for him, you know, with all the shit he was going through. But yeah, it seems like Gavin and Fletcher and all of them kind of stood out to me more, as well as the side characters of the documentary crew. There were 2 people who had gotten wind of these disappearances, and so they went to investigate. An older gentleman and one who kind of like handled the social media aspect of those. They were interesting characters too, and it was just a really, really well written. And the killer was, the cannibal killer was just fantastic. I loved his whole story about being raised by the gangsters in Mexico, and how he came up here, and it's not very bright, but he's bright enough to be able to take down a lot of people at once. And it's just the horrible, horrible situation of these kids trying to survive this weekend of this insane cannibal killer. And it was just a lot of fun. It was kind of tropey, but I love tropes. And I definitely am looking forward to reading the second novel, which is Halloween Slaughter. Don't know when I'll get to it. Probably not for any of these readathons. I just don't know if I want to continue that story right now, but we'll see. We'll see. I still have a bit of ways to go. So yeah, all in all, I gave it, I think 4 out of 5 stars on my Goodreads. So yeah, I think it's worth picking up, especially if you like slashers like I do. It's definitely worth a read. He also has another book out called The Visitor, which I believe takes place around Christmas. That looks interesting. It's a shorter book, so I might be picking that up. Also on Kindle Unlimited, so if you don't really want to commit, definitely check them out and see. So, and then the second book that we are going to do is Code Red by R. St. Clair. Now, she is a horror book YouTuber. I'm sure you all are very aware of who she is, and I've been following her channel for longer than I've been on BookTube. And when, I believe it was John himself who posted this book, his review of it, I fell in love with the cover. I love this cover, y'all. This is the most fantastic cover ever. I would want a poster of this cover for my wall. That's just how much I adore this cover. So let's read the synopsis, and then we will come back and talk about this one. Code Red by R. St. Clair. The vampires are running the asylum. Wormwood Asylum, a private mental hospital located in Southwest Virginia, specializes in treating adolescent psychosis, including Renfield syndrome. An obsession with drinking blood. But when a young man is committed to Wormwood because he believes he is a vampire, it turns out he wasn't lying. And soon, rapacious revenants are running rampant through the rural mountain community. Man, that alliteration kicked my ass. To fight the bodacious bloodsuckers, the local sheriff teams up with a candy striper and her moonshiner grandpa, who just happens to have an arsenal of war-grade weapons stored in his prepper bunker for a bloody country hoedown of epic proportions. Wow. Okay, I am glad I'm not an audiobook reader, because that dog don't hunt. No. But I freaking love this book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was so much fun. Again, this book was like I was watching an 80s vampire horror movie. The characters were fantastic. I loved them all. There were a lot of twists in this book that I will admit I did not see that coming. And it's just tropey fun. That's all this book was just fantastic tropey fun. I can't really talk about the tropes because that'll give some of the stuff away. But you have Bobby Jean, the candy striper, and her thick-headed golden retriever boyfriend Donnie. You have her grandpa that still talks about his time in Nam, Silas. I just recently finished this one yesterday. That's why you are getting names, unlike with Camp Slaughter. You have Georgia, who is the sheriff. You have the people in the asylum, Nurse Craigle, which was giving me really creepy vibes, like even before stuff happened to her. And then you have the doctor that runs the asylum, then the hot new doctor in town. And I will admit, the reason why it got 4 out of 5 stars, it took a while for the action to pick up, but there was a lot of, I think, necessary setup just in like the first 50 to 100 pages that I really don't think could have been left out of the book, but it was just not as action-packed but like that last half, it just went whoosh. And I don't think it's a bit of a spoiler, but when the flamethrower came out, it's like, my heart was like, yes! Anytime a flamethrower comes out in any kind of vampire movie or vampire book, I am just there for it. But this was a great book full of fantastic characters that I immediately felt for, loved. All right, Silas ended up being my favorite character, the old man. And his developing friendship with Georgia was just fantastic. This book was so worth it. I am this is a book I'm going to own. I bought it on Amazon because it was only like $1.99, but that cover is fantastic. I have to have it for my bookshelf. So I'm definitely going to end up purchasing this book eventually for my bookshelf because it was just that good. It was that much fun. And I'm going to use it for John's The A to Z Horror Challenge from Books of Blood. And I'm doing a bit of wiggling and finagling and trying to drive the square peg into the round hole, because I'm going to use this for P is for psychological horror. Is it psychological horror? Most definitely not. But it takes place in an asylum with psychiatrists and work on psychological issues. So that's how I am kind of moving it into that area. So those are my 2 reviews talking about the 2 books I read for my Halloween challenges. For right now, I am finishing up a 3rd book in a 7-book dark romance series. Once I get that finished, I will have those book reviews up. Like I said, I don't know why. I just cannot do a single book review for ebooks. I just feel I have to group them together for some reason. So again, thank you for coming back to where we can talk about books and things. And I hope to see you next time. Bye, y'all.